else. That's what troubles me most, Sindat whispered. There's no evidence of theft or external influence. Every indication suggests they developed these capabilities independently, following scientific principles we don't understand. The next morning's negotiations began with a subtle shift in the power dynamic. The Federation delegation arrived to find the human representatives already waiting. But something had changed. The quantum field surrounding Unity Point had altered in ways their sensors couldn't quantify. Before we continue these talks, Chen began without preamble, we should address the quantum resonators your fleet is preparing to deploy. Admiral Zexithor, watching through secure feeds, felt his scales turn ash-gray. The resonators were supposed to be undetectable, their very existence a closely guarded Federation secret. Chen continued, her voice carrying an edge of steel. We should also discuss the 3 planet-killer weapons your stealth ships are attempting to position near Earth's lunar colonies. The Federation delegation's composure cracked. Ambassador Ylvan's harmonics became discordant. These accusations are not accusations, Chen interrupted, gesturing. The room's holographic systems activated, displaying real-time footage of Federation ships deploying their weapons. We're well aware of the Federation's standard procedure for dealing with civilizations that don't submit to your authority. First comes diplomatic pressure, then economic isolation, and finally, if those fail, overwhelming military force. She paused, allowing the implications to sink in. What we don't understand is why you continue these attempts at deception when we've demonstrated our ability to see through them. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, High Counselor Vermax stepped forward, her crystalline form dimming to a subtle glow. You must understand our position. The Federation maintains peace through technological superiority. If word spreads that a single planet has developed capabilities beyond our understanding. Chen nodded. Now we reach the truth. This isn't about peace or stability. It's about control. You fear what our existence means for your power structure. The holographic display shifted, showing not just the solar system, but a vast network of quantum sensors extending throughout Federation space. Human observation posts that had monitored the Federation for decades, gathering intelligence, analyzing their technology, understanding their weaknesses. We've known about the Federation since before you achieved quantum communication, Chen revealed. We watched as you absorbed or subjugated other civilizations. We studied your methods, your weaknesses, your fears. We prepared. The Federation delegation stared in horror at the extent of human surveillance. Their most secure installations, their secret research facilities, their classified shipyards, all had been under observation. Impossible, Ylvan whispered. Our security is based on principles we surpassed centuries ago. Chen completed the thought. While you focused on controlling known physics, we explored beyond it. While you suppressed innovative thinking to maintain your power, we embraced it. Every attempt you made to infiltrate our systems has been allowed to proceed just far enough to feed you the information we wanted you to have. As if to demonstrate her point, the quantum field around Unity Point shifted again, and suddenly the Federation's sensors went blind. Their most advanced detection systems couldn't even confirm the station's existence, let alone penetrate its defenses. Admiral Zexithor watched in mounting horror as his fleet's systems began reporting impossible readings. Quantum resonators ceased functioning. Planet-killer weapons went dormant. Even their most basic scanning systems displayed only what the humans wanted them to see. The message was clear. Humanity had not just matched Federation technology. They had rendered it obsolete. We're prepared to negotiate, Chen stated into the stunned silence. But only as true equals. The Federation's age of unchallenged dominance is over. The question is, are you prepared to adapt to this new reality, or shall we demonstrate just how far behind you've really fallen? Counter-strike. The Federation Council's emergency session aboard the Eternal Dawn crackled with tension. Admiral Zexithor's scales had shifted to a deep crimson, a sign of both rage and fear. The tactical displays showed their fleet's weapons and defensive systems continuing to fail, disabled by human technology that seemed to operate beyond the laws of physics themselves. "We cannot allow this humiliation to stand," High Counselor Vermax declared, her crystalline form pulsing with fierce energy. "If word of this spreads to our subject worlds, the entire Federation could collapse." Information Director Synthat's shadowy presence rippled with unusual agitation. "Our primitive." Their energy generation systems operated on principles that the Federation's scientists hadn't even discovered. As the first day of negotiations drew to a close, Chen stood at the viewport again, watching the Federation flagship gleaming in Earth's orbit. Dr. Rodriguez joined her, holding a data tablet. "They're scared," he observed. Chen nodded. "They should be. They came expecting to find primitives to subjugate. Instead, they found equals who have been watching them for decades. Should we tell them about the Sentinel network?" "Not yet." Chen's reflection smiled in the transparent aluminum viewport. "Let them wonder just how far ahead of them we really are. Sometimes, the most effective defense is letting your potential adversaries imagine what you're capable of." The Federation delegation returned to their ship that evening, their certainties shattered, their plans in ruins. They had come to uplift a primitive species, only to find themselves confronted with the possibility that humanity had already surpassed them in ways they were only beginning to understand. And this was only the first day of negotiations. Hidden agendas. The Federation's Emergency Council convened in the secure chamber aboard the Eternal Dawn, the air thick with tension and wounded pride. Admiral Zexthor's scales had settled into a troubled green as he reviewed the day's events with the assembled leadership. Their quantum shield technology alone represents a severe threat to Federation superiority, High Counselor Vermax declared, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. If the humans have achieved this level of advancement in isolation, what else might they be capable of? Ambassador Ilvan's harmonic resonance carried notes of frustration. "We must adapt our strategy. The standard protocols for primitive species integration are clearly insufficient." In the shadows of the chamber, Information Director Synthat, an entity composed of living darkness and neural networks, spoke in whispered data streams. "Our deep scan attempts have revealed something disturbing. The humans appear to be operating on technological principles we don't fully understand. Their quantum matrices exhibit patterns that defy our current models of physics." Meanwhile, aboard Unity Point, Ambassador Chen sat in her private office, reviewing real-time feeds of the Federation's encrypted communications. The quantum AI translating their signals highlighted patterns of particular interest: deployment orders, fleet movements, and frantic communications with the Federation's home systems. Dr. Rodriguez entered with fresh data analysis. "They're trying to be subtle about it, but we're detecting significant fleet movements in the outer reaches of our sensor network. They're mobilizing, Sarah." Chen nodded, unsurprised. Expected response. They're falling back on military strength since their diplomatic leverage failed. "Have they found any of our observation posts yet?" "No. The quantum camouflage is holding. They still think their encrypted channels are secure too." Rodriguez allowed himself a small smile. "They have no idea we've been reading their tactical communications since before they entered the system." The next morning, the Federation delegation returned to Unity Point with what they believed to be a masterfully crafted new approach. Ambassador Ilvan's crystalline form had been carefully tuned to project confidence and authority. After careful consideration, Ilvan announced, "The Federation is prepared to offer Earth special status within our alliance. Your technological achievements have impressed us, and we believe a more collaborative approach would benefit all parties." Chen listened politely as Ilvan outlined a proposal that, beneath its diplomatic veneer, would still place Earth under Federation authority, just with a gentler touch. The humans would be required to share their quantum technology, accept Federation advisors in key positions, and allow Federation ships to patrol Earth's space. "An interesting proposal," Chen replied when Ilvan finished. Though I notice you haven't mentioned the battle fleet assembling in the Kuiper Belt, or the stealth dreadnoughts approaching through the solar wind. The Federation delegation froze. Admiral Zexthor, watching through secure feeds, felt his scales bleach white with shock. Those ships were using the Federation's most advanced cloaking technology. They should have been undetectable. Chen continued, her voice still pleasant but carrying an edge of steel. We should also discuss the quantum virus your cyber warfare teams attempted to introduce into our networks during last night's connection attempt. It was quite sophisticated. Our AI found it. Educational. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Information Director Sinthat's shadowy form rippled with alarm. Their best cyber weapons had not only failed, but had apparently been captured and analyzed. Perhaps, Chen suggested, it's time for some honesty. Your Federation operates on a principle of technological superiority. You've maintained your position by ensuring no other civilization develops capabilities that could challenge your authority. But humanity's isolation from your influence has allowed us to develop along different paths you don't understand and can't control. She gestured, and the room's holographic systems activated, displaying a real-time tactical map of the solar system. Federation ships, including those under stealth, were marked with precise detail. More disturbing were the unknown signatures scattered throughout the display, human defensive positions and installations that the Federation's scans hadn't detected. We've been aware of the Federation for longer than you might imagine, Chen revealed. We chose not to announce ourselves until we were ready. Your arrival wasn't a surprise. It was anticipated. The Federation delegation struggled to maintain composure as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just matched some of their technology. They had surpassed it in ways that challenged the very foundations of Federation power. Ambassador Ilvan's harmonic voice carried a note of desperate calculation. Surely we can reach an accommodation, Fat. We're not interested in accommodations based on deception, Chen interrupted. If the Federation wishes to establish relations with Earth, it must be on terms of genuine equality. No hidden fleets, no attempted cyber infiltration, no political maneuvering to maintain your perceived superiority. As if to emphasize her point, new signatures appeared on the tactical display. Quantum signatures emerging from what had appeared to be empty space around the Federation fleet. The humans had ships of their own in position, vessels that defied Federation detection methods completely. The day's negotiations ended early, with the Federation delegation retreating to their ship in disarray. Their carefully crafted plans lay in ruins, and the growing realization that they had severely miscalculated humanity's capabilities sent waves of concern through the Federation's leadership. That evening, as Chen reviewed the day's events with her team, Dr. Rodriguez voiced the question on everyone's mind. How long before they realize what we really have? Chen's expression remained carefully neutral. They're still thinking in terms of technological advantage. They haven't grasped that we're not just ahead of them in some areas. We're operating on fundamentally different principles. The real question is, how will they react when they finally understand? The answer to that question would shake the foundations of galactic society. The deception revealed. Deep within the quantum-secured chambers of Unity Point, Earth's Defense Council gathered around a holographic display that showed the movements of every Federation vessel within 50 light-years. Ambassador Chen stood at the head of the table, her expression grave as she reviewed the latest intelligence reports. They're marshaling their forces faster than anticipated, General Diana Rivera observed, her weathered features illuminated by the tactical display. 7 battle fleets have already taken up positions in neighboring systems, disguised as routine patrols. Dr. Rodriguez manipulated the hologram, highlighting suspicious energy signatures. Their ships are carrying quantum resonators, devices designed to disrupt what they think is the foundation of our defensive systems. They still don't understand that we've moved beyond conventional quantum mechanics. The Federation's desperation had become increasingly evident over the past 48 hours. Their attempts at subterfuge had grown more aggressive, more reckless. They had attempted 3 separate cyber attacks on Earth's defense grid, each more sophisticated than the last. Each attempt had been not just thwarted but allowed to proceed just far enough to feed the Federation false information about human capabilities. Aboard the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Zexthor faced his own crisis. The latest scan data from Earth's defenses made no sense. The humans' quantum shields seemed to operate on principles that violated known physics. More disturbing were the energy readings from several human installations, readings that suggested power generation capabilities far beyond anything in the Federation's experience. The humans are hiding something fundamental from us. Information Director Sinthat's shadowy form rippled with agitation. Our best analysis suggests they've achieved breakthrough in at least 3 areas we considered theoretically impossible: consciousness transfer, zero-point energy manipulation, and possibly even limited causality control. Ambassador Ylvan's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained fury. Impossible. No species could advance so far without our detection. They must have stolen this technology from someone. The arrival. The Galactic Federation's flagship, Eternal Dawn, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, its crystalline hull capturing and refracting the distant sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. Admiral Zexthor, a towering figure with iridescent scales, stood at the command center, his secondary eyes narrowing as he studied the holographic display of Earth's defense network. "Impossible," he muttered, mandibles clicking in agitation. "These readings must be incorrect." His science officer, Valeria, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, glided forward. "The readings are accurate, Admiral. The humans have achieved quantum shielding technology. Their defensive capabilities exceed our initial assessments by several orders of magnitude." The Admiral's scales shifted to a deeper shade of blue, indicating deep concern. This was not how first contact was supposed to proceed. The Federation had expected to find a fledgling civilization barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they faced a species that had somehow developed technology that the Federation's best minds had only theorized about. The human delegation waited in Earth's orbital diplomatic station, Unity Point. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the viewport, her dark eyes reflecting the stars beyond. Unlike the elaborate ceremonial robes favored by Federation diplomats, she wore a simple white suit that seemed to absorb and redirect light in subtle ways. Behind her, her team worked quietly at their stations, monitoring the approaching Federation vessel. "They're scanning us again," Dr. Marcus Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing over holographic controls. "Trying to penetrate our quantum shields. Should we let them see something this time?" Chen smiled slightly. "No, let them wonder. Their confusion is our advantage." The Federation's diplomatic party arrived with all the pomp and ceremony typical of a civilization that had dominated galactic politics for 10,000 years. Their delegation included representatives from 12 different species, each more exotic than the last. Ambassador Ylvan, a being composed of crystalline matrices that hummed with barely contained energy, led the group. "Greetings, children of Earth." Ylvan's voice resonated through the chamber, translated perfectly by human technology. "We come bearing the gift of civilization." Chen's expression remained pleasant but neutral. "Welcome to Unity Point, Ambassador Ylvan. Though I must correct your assumption, we are not children." The Federation delegation exchanged glances as their universal translators rendered Chen's words with perfect clarity, using translation algorithms more sophisticated than their own. This was not proceeding according to the standard protocol for uplifting primitive species. The meeting chamber itself defied Federation expectations. Instead of crude metallic constructions, they found themselves in a room where gravity seemed optional, with furniture that adapted instantly to each species' physiological needs. The walls themselves appeared to be composed of living technology, responding to thought and emotion in ways that even the Federation's most advanced biotechnology couldn't match. "We have prepared a comprehensive proposal for Earth's integration into the Galactic Federation," Ylvan continued, trying to regain control of the narrative. As a developing world, you will naturally require guidance and protection. Ambassador, Chen interrupted gently. Perhaps we should first discuss the Arcturus incident. The crystalline being's harmonics faltered. The Arcturus incident, a classified Federation operation to assess Earth's defenses, had supposedly been undetectable. The fact that humans not only knew about it, but could casually reference it in diplomatic talks, sent shockwaves through the Federation delegation. I don't believe we're familiar with, Yilvan began, but Chen raised her hand, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing detailed footage of Federation stealth ships attempting to penetrate Earth's defense grid 3 months ago. We have similar footage from 6 other incursions. Chen continued calmly. We chose not to respond at the time, as we wanted to understand your intentions. Now that we do, perhaps we can begin real negotiations. As equals. Admiral Zexithor, watching through the Federation's feeds, felt his scales pale to an almost white shade. The humans hadn't just detected their most advanced stealth technology. They had chosen not to respond. The implications were staggering. In the following hours, the Federation delegation struggled to maintain their composure as each attempt to assert dominance was met with quiet evidence that humanity was far more advanced than they had imagined. Their quantum technology wasn't just theoretical, it was fully implemented. Their understanding of consciousness transfer made the Federation's efforts look. Latest analysis suggests the humans have quantum observation posts in every major Federation system. They've been watching us, learning our weaknesses, preparing for this moment for decades, perhaps centuries. Ambassador Yilvan's harmonic voice carried notes of desperation. Then we must strike now, while we still can. Commit the entire fleet. Even if their technology is superior, they cannot stand against our numbers. The Federation's response came swiftly and decisively. Thousands of ships dropped out of hyperspace around Earth's solar system, their weapons primed and shields at maximum. It was the largest fleet deployment in Federation history, enough firepower to reduce a dozen worlds to ash. Admiral Zexthor's voice boomed through the command channel. Attention Earth forces. You will immediately surrender your technology and submit to Federation authority, or we will have no choice but to. His transmission cut off abruptly as every Federation ship in the system suddenly went dark. Engines died, weapons powered down. Even life support systems flickered, operating only at minimal levels. In Unity Point's command center, Ambassador Chen watched the scene unfold with calm determination. They chose pride over reason, she observed. Activate the Prometheus protocol. Dr. Rodriguez's fingers danced across quantum interfaced controls. Protocol initiated. Phase 1 deploying now. Throughout the solar system, space itself seemed to ripple. Hidden quantum facilities that had laid dormant for decades came online. The humans had not built a defensive network. They had constructed something far more sophisticated. Aboard the Eternal Dawn, panic spread as officers realized they had lost control of their ship systems. Information Director Synthat's form writhed in distress as their most sophisticated cyber defenses were bypassed as if they didn't exist. What? What is happening? Admiral Zexthor demanded, his scales now pale with fear. A holographic image of Ambassador Chen appeared simultaneously on every Federation ship's bridge. We gave you the opportunity to negotiate as equals, she stated, her voice carrying both authority and disappointment. You chose confrontation. Now let us show you why that was a mistake. The space around the Federation fleet shimmered as humanity's true defensive network revealed itself. It wasn't just a collection of weapons or shields. It was a vast lattice of quantum manipulation devices that could rewrite the local laws of physics themselves. Your ships are currently held in a quantum stasis field, Chen explained. Your weapons cannot function because the underlying principles they operate on have been temporarily suspended in this region of space. We could, if we wished, simply shut down your life support entirely. To demonstrate, Several Federation dreadnoughts suddenly found themselves operating under different physical constants. Their fusion reactors stuttered. Their artificial gravity failed. Their very atomic structure began to fluctuate. "This is impossible," High Counselor Vermax whispered, her crystalline form dimming in shock. "No technology can alter fundamental forces." "No technology, you understand," Chen corrected. While the Federation focused on controlling known physics, humanity explored beyond it. "We discovered that what you call fundamental forces are merely local manifestations of deeper principles. Principles we learned to manipulate centuries ago." As if to emphasize her point, a small human vessel emerged from what appeared to be a fold in spacetime itself. It moved through the Federation fleet, completely ignoring their shields and hull plating, as if they didn't exist. "Your entire understanding of reality is limited," Chen continued. "You built your empire on controlling and suppressing scientific advancement to maintain your power. In doing so, you blinded yourself to whole realms of possibility." The demonstration continued as more human ships emerged, each displaying capabilities that the Federation had considered impossible. Vessels that could manipulate gravity as easily as light, weapons that could selectively disable specific technologies while leaving others untouched. Defenses that didn't just stop attacks, but prevented them from being possible in the first place. Admiral Zexithor, watching his mighty fleet rendered helpless, finally understood the true scope of their mistake. The Federation hadn't discovered a rival civilization. They had awakened something far beyond their comprehension. "What are your terms?" he asked, his voice heavy with defeat. Chen's hologram smiled slightly. "The same as they were yesterday. Genuine equality and mutual respect. The Federation's age of unchallenged dominance is over. You can adapt and grow, or you can fade into irrelevance. The choice is yours." As the Federation leadership struggled to process their new reality, humanity's quantum network continued its work, holding their fleet in check with technologies that operated on principles they couldn't begin to understand. The balance of power hadn't just shifted, it had been fundamentally rewritten. New Dawn. 3 months after the confrontation that changed galactic politics forever, the Great Hall of Unity Point hosted a very different kind of gathering. Representatives from hundreds of worlds, both Federation and independent, had come to witness something unprecedented: the signing of the Sol Accords. Ambassador Chen stood at the central podium, surveying the assembled delegates. The Federation representatives, including Admiral Zexthor and Ambassador Ilvan, sat in the front row, no longer radiating superiority, but showing a newfound respect tinged with lingering apprehension. "The past quarter year has been one of profound change," Chen began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "The old order, built on technological suppression and enforced hierarchy, has given way to something new, something better." The holographic displays activated, showing the remarkable transformations already taking place throughout known space. Federation worlds, freed from technological restrictions, were experiencing unprecedented advancement. Species that had been deliberately kept dependent on Federation technology were now developing their own innovations. Dr. Rodriguez, standing at a control station, monitored the quantum feeds from across the galaxy. "The knowledge-sharing initiatives are exceeding all projections," he reported quietly. "Civilizations are adapting to unrestricted technological development faster than we anticipated." High Counselor Vermax, her crystalline form now tuned to frequencies of cooperation rather than dominance, rose to speak. "The Federation acknowledges its past mistakes. We sought to maintain peace through control, but in doing so, we stifled the very innovation that could have led us all to greater heights." The assembled delegates murmured in agreement. Many of them had already experienced the benefits of humanity's more open approach. Medical technologies that the Federation had restricted were now freely available. Energy generation systems that had been suppressed for stability were transforming struggling colonies into prosperous worlds. Admiral Zexthor, his scales now a thoughtful blue-green, addressed his former adversaries. "We feared what we did not understand, And in our fear, we became the very threat to progress that we claimed to be protecting against. Humanity showed us not just superior technology, but a superior way of thinking. The Soul Accords themselves represented a radical departure from past galactic governance. Instead of centralized control, they established a framework for cooperative development. Knowledge would be shared, not hoarded. Innovation would be encouraged, not feared. Most importantly, the fundamental right of species to develop along their own paths would be protected. But make no mistake, Chen continued, her tone carrying a subtle warning. This new era of freedom comes with responsibility. Earth's quantum network remains active, monitoring for any attempt to return to the old ways of suppression and control. We trust in cooperation, but we verify. The display shifted to show the extent of human monitoring capabilities, now openly acknowledged rather than hidden. The quantum observation posts that had secretly watched the Federation for centuries were being repurposed as nodes in a galaxy-wide communication and defense network. Information Director Synthat, whose shadowy form had learned to appreciate the light of truth, shared the Federation's findings. Human technology operates on principles we are only beginning to understand. Their mastery of quantum mechanics, consciousness transfer, and fundamental forces represents not just technological advancement, but a different way of perceiving reality itself. As if to demonstrate this point, a human ship appeared in the center of the hall, not through any conventional means of transport, but by seemingly shifting through dimensions that most species couldn't perceive. It was a reminder of how far humanity had advanced, while the Federation had stagnated in its comfort zone of controlled progress. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Chen declared. The path forward is not about one species dominating others, but about all of us reaching our full potential together. Earth's advancement came not from controlling knowledge, but from freely pursuing it wherever it led. This is the model we propose for our shared future. The signing ceremony proceeded, each representative adding their mark to an agreement that would reshape galactic civilization. The quantum interface used for signing was itself a symbol of the changes to come, operating on principles that most species were only beginning to grasp. As the ceremony concluded, Dr. Rodriguez approached Chen with a data update. The quantum network is detecting unprecedented levels of scientific activity across Federation space. It seems freedom suits them. Chen smiled. Fear of the unknown holds everyone back. We didn't just show them better technology. We showed them a better way to face the mysteries of the universe. The final provisions of the Soul Accords included the establishment of joint research initiatives, open sharing of scientific discoveries, and protective measures to ensure no species could again suppress another's development. The Federation's vast bureaucracy of control was being transformed into a network of cooperation and innovation. As the delegates departed, many still processing the implications of this new era, Admiral Zexthor approached Chen one last time. "You could have destroyed us," he observed, his scales shifting through thoughtful colors. "Instead, you chose to lift us up." "Destruction is easy," Chen replied. "Creation, true creation, requires something more. We didn't want subjects or servants. We wanted partners in exploring the universe's mysteries." The stars visible through Unity Point's quantum-enhanced viewport seemed brighter somehow, as if reflecting the dawning of a new age. Humanity had not just changed the balance of power, they had fundamentally altered how civilization itself would progress. The age of suppression was over. The age of discovery had begun.